Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Camgoat Show right here in Phoenix, Arizona. As always, I am your host, Isaac Joel, your local filmmaker and director and Camgoat, and I am joined in the studio today by my producer, Ruben Rapalda. Ruben, you want to introduce yourself to these nice, kind, beautiful folks?
What up, guys? It's Ruben. Man, it's the third episode already, man. Thank you to everyone who's been watching, following along the journey, and we're just getting started. We got a lot of stuff cooking up in the next couple weeks. December's especially a big month for us, I could say. And man, let's just get it going, man. We're just getting started.
We're just getting started, man. And I don't think anybody was expecting you and I to be a force to reckon with coming into this podcast. I think people really kind of had low expectations for this podcast because they believed that they were only going to listen to us ramble on about movies and TV shows and stuff that doesn't matter and they don't care about. But little do they know the kind of events that you and I are able to go to and witness and experience together, man. Everybody knows why they're here. Everybody knows why they're listening in. You are here to hear us talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer 2 and how me and Ruben were at the fan event in Los Angeles, California just yesterday. Not even yet. This morning. We just got back home like a couple hours ago, like less than 6 hours ago. And we're here recording this podcast now, talking about it.
Yeah, man, it's a quick 24 hours. Literally 24 hours ago, we were driving. We were not even close to Los Angeles, and it's just crazy. Even I feel like the whole 48 hours in general, because the day before, the planning, the getting the tickets, all that whole
oh my God. It's such a story, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get right into it. Of course, we're going to talk about the trailer. We're going to get to it, but we want to talk a little bit about our journey to the theater, how we were able and how we got invited. Ruben, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so Sony, a bunch of partners, comic book, Screen Rant announced they're doing this fan event, this trailer release fan event. They were going to invite people, looking by some press, some influencers, and some fans, of course. You know, that's the key part of the event. And so they were giving out these tickets. Basically, what you had to do is, you just got to be there in the right time, right place, right time. On Twitter, they were doing these
many contests
stuff. You got to follow, retweet, stuff like that.
Upload a picture of your favorite Spider-Man suit, which I did of the old photo shoot.
We both tried.
We tried.
The first day they released tickets, we weren't able to get any luck. Then second day, our boy Brandon Davis from comicbook.com, shout out to him.
Shout out.
He sent out a tweet. I had his notifications on for whatever reason. Oh, I follow the guy. Yeah. And so he said something along the lines. I had to email him a screenshot of his podcast, blah, blah, blah. In like the minute after he posted that, I sent everything, and boom, 5 minutes later, he emailed me back. He said, "You gotcha. Sony will be contacting you soon." And man, when I got that email, I just had no reaction at first. And then I knew Isaac was around, in the house. And so I slammed the door and literally I yell, and instantly I feel like Isaac knew what was going on, because we were all day trying to get these tickets. And oh man, that was just such a great moment.
It was one of those moments where you don't believe that it's possible that you could get to experience or go to something like this. You're kind of going into the contest willy-nilly, not really taking it that seriously, because you don't want your hopes to be down, because there's so many thousands and thousands of people that were trying to get tickets, man. And even I sent out the same message literally a minute when he posted it, not even 2 minutes after he posted it. I wasted no time, and I didn't even get it, but you got one out of, what was it, 30?
I think it was 30, yeah. And depending on how many people selected 2 tickets, because, so it was 30 tickets.
What are the odds, though? What are the odds that between you and I, 1 in a billion?
Yeah,
I felt.
There was I think in the first 3 minutes, he said there was 5,000 entries in the first 3 minutes. So keep in mind, after that, how many But yeah, man, I'm so grateful to get.
We didn't believe it was real, even as we were driving there. You know, there's a part of you that's still like, you know, what if we're doing all of this and it's for nothing? You know, what if we get there and something happens, some manager tells us that they're not going to let us in, or you know, the worst things could happen. And it's
happened before to us. So some stuff locally for some issues with press screenings, but
and you know what?
So you know,
to go from an early screening premiere of Spider-Man: Homecoming, back when that first came out, we got tickets to see that in Tempe. And when we went there, it was we almost didn't get in the theater because it was so packed. We had to sit close up to the screen, but we got in. So going from that at, you know, such a young age, what were we, like 18 at the time, fresh out of high school?
Yeah.
To go from that to this is, you couldn't predict it. I couldn't predict being that 16-year-old boy at high school, sitting at my desk, going through my phone, reading, Marvel's got a new Spider-Man on the way. Like, I could never see 5 years into the future, 10 or 8 years into the future, that we were going to be part of this. We were going to be part of it, and we did feel like we were part of it. So yeah, 5-hour drive, real easy to knock out. It was no hassle at all. We woke up, I think, like, we were on the road by 7 a.m. and we got there at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock,
and we got there at the perfect timing, because it was when they were just starting to let people kind of inside and go through everyone's tickets and everything like that. But if we had showed up a second later, we would have been kind of like in the back of the line, but we were more so towards the front middle of it. You know?
It was in the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And we were around so many people, so many influencers, TikTokers.
Yeah.
You got to take pictures with a couple of them. You were geeking out at a couple of people.
Yeah, especially I was surprised there weren't more like YouTubers. You know.
Yeah.
Obviously they like
so many reviewers.
They like doing like the reactions at home. But the one YouTuber I saw was Eric Andre, Black Nerd Comedy. Love that guy.
Love him.
I wanted to take a picture.
Ninja Turtles.
I know. I wanted to take a picture with him, but he was just going.
You could tell everyone was kind of just. It was so casual. Everyone was just casually walking around doing their thing.
Even Brandon Davis.
You didn't want to bother people. You didn't want to bother anybody.
No, so I was able to get a picture with Soups. If people know who Soups is, check him out on TikTok. Great guy. Very, very great guy. Like, he took pictures with
journalist.
He took pictures with everyone. He was chill about it. You know, he never complained.
So cool. And you were the first one. Go back, man.
Oh, yeah.
You were the first one to get a picture with him right when he walked in the room without anybody. And then after you, everybody was swarming on him. Everybody was swarming on him.
And then you can tell there's people. Oh, people taking pictures with him. So take a picture with me. Like they probably don't even know him. But like, yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see. Also, Straw Hat Goofy, the guy who was shooting. He was shooting a TikTok in front of you. Remember that?
Yeah. We were going. I was literally screaming on his phone, and he was quoting the first Spider-Man where Bonesaw. He's like, you ain't going nowhere, and me and him were having this back and forth. It was we've been to fan events out here in Arizona, and there was just nothing that compared to this crowd, man. These were die-hard fans, and we were the only ones from out of town, from what I was gathering. Trust me, we were talking to people. We wanted to really introduce ourselves and connect with everyone. That's a huge reason why we went out there.
So we are out here at Regal Theater in Los Angeles, California, to see this sneak preview of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Any expectations? Any expectations at all for this?
I don't know, man. Had a lot of rumors. A lot of stuff that's in it, a lot of stuff that's not in it. We just have to wait and see. No expectations at this point.
Zero expectations at all. It's just really like awesome to be here. You know, there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of people here. There's a whole line over there. A whole line of people went inside. So we're just hanging out, and we're excited for whatever we get to see today.
What do you guys want to see? What do you guys need to see?
A clear Goblin shot, and I'm fingers crossed for a Charlie Cox Daredevil tease.
Oh yeah, I want that.
I want a clear shot with the Sinister Six, like in like the Avengers. You know how it's like a circle? Yeah, just like that.
I'm so excited for this. I am so excited for this. We're here. We're finally here. This is happening. This is it. This is it.
So I'm gonna give you guys a slight bit of more tension and then let you know that Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland, is tonight. I want you all.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
What's up, everyone? How we doing? I haven't done this in a while, so I'm very nervous.
Mossman and all of our producers have put together had managed to accomplish. Because honestly, when they first pitched me the movie, I was like, that's never going to work. There's no way you're going to be able to get that done. And they did an amazing job.
I gotta say, man, lifelong Spider-Man fan, to see your reverence for this room, to see your emotion about this experience, and to hear this moment, those days on set, did it feel like, was there a palpable historic moment? Did you feel that on the day, as well as reflecting on it here?
Yeah, it actually took everyone involved a while to get over what was happening. It was mental.
I don't want to know, so I'm gonna wait, but I'm gonna remember this moment. All right, we've got one in LA from Francis Dominic asking, what is your most surreal moment while filming? Maybe one you can share.
I hate doing press for these movies. It's a nightmare. The most surreal experience from the first two.
We'll go there, it's safer.
Oh, well, I can
Now
talk about those
available
all
on
day long.
Blu-ray.
Let me try and think about this one. Oh, I can talk about this so much. I think one for me, and your guys are gonna be like, oh, we've heard this story. But when I first met Jake on set, and he came to set for Spider-Man 2, and he had like, not a meltdown, but he was a little bit nervous at the way Marvel make movies, and it's very different to anything anyone has ever experienced outside of that world. And I remember looking up to one of my idols. You know, he's one of my favorite actors, and being like, it's okay, man. Like, we can figure this out together, and you can fly. Yeah, you can fly. You're Mysterio. Wait, you're not Mysterio. So that was pretty surreal. Again, guys, listen, I'd love to tell you everything. You know I would. But I can't. I always feel like Peter Parker has kind of had some sort of parallel with my life and what's going on. And it's no secret that when this happens to you, your life changes, and there are certain things that you can't do anymore. And this film kind of explores the adverse effects of fame and what happens to someone, especially at a young age, how it can affect your life for better or for worse. And, you know, I've had a wonderful experience because you guys have been so gracious and wonderful and looked after me as fans. But there are people out there who haven't had the same experience, and Peter Parker, unfortunately, is going through that. I always think that if you want to tell someone something, you should tell them yourself. I think when the power is taken away from you, you know, whether it's a secret you want to tell someone, if they find out on their own, it's always so much worse. You need to just be honest and let people know. So I think if Peter Parker had made an announcement, like an Iron Man sort of moment, it would have been a little bit easier for him.
So we're at this event, and everyone in line is speculating and is hearing rumors, tweets, pictures are leaking that we may be seeing special appearances, that Zendaya may be here, Tom Holland may be here, John Watts may be here, Toby and Andrew might be here, all this crazy, crazy stuff.
A lot of stuff.
And what it came down to was Tom Holland showing up, and there was a security guard towards the front of the stage, and he looked so sus. He looked like he was guarding and protecting something. You're kind of convinced that someone's going to come through that door. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the crowd is going nuts, looking behind us, and we turn around, and boom, he's coming down from the stairs, and we were at the edge. We were going to sit in the middle so that we had a good view of the screen, but thank God we sat at the edge of the row because homeboy was right there looking at us.
I touched him, bro. I touched him.
And he came in looking so fly.
He was very
fly.
Love the hair. Love the whole
suit.
Look. Yeah,
oh my God, he's bulky, man. He's kind of short, but dude's wide, man.
Yeah.
And it was an emotional roller coaster. You know, we really weren't expecting it to get so emotional, but not only was the crowd, you know, around us, you know, really diehard fans, and they were getting emotional being here, but he himself was getting very emotional. The fact being, this is your third, you know, Spider-Man outing, and not knowing if he's gonna come back, and this epic conclusion and I wouldn't even say conclusion, but this epic full circle, you know, because everything's coming in full circle. You know, it's not a conclusion, but it's a full circle. Yeah. And he started getting teary eyed before he even started, but it was amazing. There was a few questions coming in from the theater and from another theater in where was it, New Mexico City?
No, it was Mexico.
Yeah. And a lot of the questions were questions that he just couldn't answer.
Yeah, they're all very vague. He's like, ooh, because they're mostly about like his experience shooting this movie and his most memorable scenes, his favorite part of being on set, and he literally couldn't talk about anything. Which is, you know,
you can only wonder. We're gonna get into theories and speculations, and you know, before I didn't want to talk about Spider-Man right away on this podcast, because there was nothing to talk about. Although the first teaser was fun and cool and everything, there was nothing to really theorize and talk. There's no point. I just felt there was no point. Everyone's online saying Doctor Strange, maybe Mephisto, Peter Parker does this, and we might see Toby and Andrew. But like, to me, just hearing all that was noise. You know, I needed something to help me allude to those ideas, and this trailer was the trailer that just brought everything to mind. Before the event, we both were talking about, you know, predictions or expectations even. I had a few predictions that I do want to talk about. One being, I really wanted to hear William Dafoe's dialogue. I felt that we were going to get him saying something maniacal and evil, and he really did deliver exactly on that. And then the second thing was, and this was kind of a biggie, was I imagined Mary Jane's, played by Zendaya, falling from the sky or in danger, and as Tom Holland's Spider-Man is jumping down, going to rescue her, the other Spider-Men are going to help and save her, not Tom Holland's Spider. It looks like in the trailer he grabs her hand. It looks like he's like right there, but I'm predicting in the actual movie, last second, it's going to be Toby, not Andrew, but Toby that saves Mary Jane, because this will be reminiscent of his movies. You know, I think it will mean more being because Mary Jane was always that damsel in distress that Spider-Man had to save, whereas Gwen Stacy was the one putting herself on the line and everything like that. I also had another prediction, and this doesn't, you know, really go into the trailer, but I had a prediction when it came for the actual movie that if it came down to a Spider-Verse type scenario where someone needs to sacrifice themselves so that the others can return back to their worlds, their dimensions, it would be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because he has experienced the most trauma. Yes, they all lost. Yes, their uncle and their parents and everything. But when it came down to Mark Webb's interpretation of the movies, we got to actually see the toll that it took on Peter. And I even remember hearing interviews from Andrew saying, you know, these last two movies that we've done, he's just been in a very bad place emotionally, and I want to see him more happy. I want to see him more alive. And so that's coming from the actor himself, even admitting that his character hasn't had a good go at it. And not to say that's a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing, because it adds depth and layers to him. So I'm going to predict that he's going to sacrifice himself so that both Toby and Tom can go back to their worlds and love again, because he lost his love. My goodness. So there is no real confirmation that Andrew and Toby are in this trailer or anything like that. We didn't hear anything, but there was a lot of tiptoeing around on Tom Holland's part about working with certain actors that was a mind-blowing experience, that everyone on set literally was not focused, that they had to like remind everybody to like, guys, get back to work. We can't stand around and stare all day. We have to get back to it. You can only imagine.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting how they market it after the movie comes out. I feel like they'll do something. They gotta do something. I don't know. It just seems very weird that they're just hiding it with so much evidence out there. You know.
Yeah.
Well, we're still gonna get the tickets were announced that they're gonna come out November 29th. They're calling it like Spider Monday, something like that. So we might get like another look, I guess, to this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll show them, but who knows? I think they'll show something to get the hype out for the tickets out, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows what that could be? Could that be Charlie Cox? Could that be, I don't know, maybe Willem Dafoe, his face? Because we didn't see his face in the trailer.
They've come. I'm gonna, as much as we would love to see Charlie Cox, anybody else, everybody else. Mm-hmm. I think they've come this far and not revealing anything.
I know.
They're almost at the finish line. You might as well just keep with what you're doing as far as marketing it with Alfred Molina, Tom Holland, and Doctor Strange. Those are the front runners of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Toby and Andrew. If like, are they not gonna be invited to the premiere? How is that gonna work?
Right.
I would want to be there if I was a big crucial part of the movie, or even just been a part of it. Behind the production and all this stuff. So we'll see what they do. I'm excited to see what they do. But do you have any other thoughts on this trailer? Because we really deep dive into this trailer.
Yeah. I do want to start like getting into it a little bit. Right now I'm looking at an article, ladies and gentlemen, from Screen Rant that gives you a whole breakdown and reveals and secrets. So if you want to look that up, I definitely recommend it for anyone that doesn't really, keep in touch with what's going on in the MCU, the Easter eggs, because especially when it comes to Spider-Man, there's just so much. There's just so much to unpack and unravel. One thing that I really do want to talk about is the villains and how No Way Home explains why Spider-Man villains are entering the MCU. There's another stunning shot of the moment Doctor Strange performs the spell to erase Spider-Man's secret identity, one botched by Peter Parker's chatter. This time, though, the VFX shot is accompanied by dialogue that explains why villains from the other Spider-Man films enter the MCU. It seems the universe has begun getting visitors from other dimensions, enemies of Spider-Man who make their way through to this dimension. This parallels with Venom Let There Be Carnage's post-credits scene, suggesting all the bad guys have simply been pulled through and are reeling from their experience. So the key motivation, and this is another prediction that I had that I was right about, if you want to vouch for me, Ruben, was the motivation behind these villains is that they're motivated by Spider-Man, by their fate is to die by Spider-Man, by battle, by fighting with him. And it was so awesome hearing Doctor Strange talk about that. It is their fate, it is their destiny. And so with that anger and that rage boiling inside all of these villains for different reasons, emotional reasons, gives them every motivation and every factor to go after anyone that wears the symbol.
Yeah, they just want to survive. They see Spider-Man, it's a threat immediately, If they see that the eyes, the suit, whatever, they'll do whatever it takes to, stay alive, because that's their goal at this point, because it's either, you know, stay alive or get sent back to their universe for them to ultimately die. So that being confirmed, being like the plot line of the movie, is very exciting to see how they bring them in. Do we see them from the universe as being pulled out? You know, do we see Doc Ock in the river somehow finding his way in the bridge? Yeah. You know, it's the possibilities.
I think also the main. I feel like everybody, when it comes to the villains, has a reason to come back, except William Dafoe. We watched him die. We literally watched him die. You know, Alfred Molina, like you say, it makes sense him being pulled from the river. The Lizard is locked up. Sandman left. Electro kind of disintegrated, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's dead. You know, electricity always and can still live on. But when it comes to William Dafoe's character, it's more curious for me. How is he still alive? And now I'm not saying that I believe these are the exact villains from the other movies. I believe that they might be loose variant versions of said villains. That leaves room for you know, different interpretations and different versions of how they escape. You know, again, maybe going back to Spider-Man 1 when he's fighting Spider-Man, maybe on the bridge, on top of the bridge when he's saving Mary Jane. Maybe like he just disappears right then and there, you know. So the possibilities are open, but also, you know, with Sandman taking place years after, the timeline is just very curious when it comes to this movie. You know, where are we with the timelines in the other films?
Yeah, I think that hopefully they explain it. I'm curious to see how they tackle that too. I just don't see them just like throwing them on screen without no explanation. I feel like that'd just be
we're talking about 2.5 hours of development of watching them evolve, and these characters. Thank God these characters start off with their original designs and then end up with these ultimate upgrades. We're talking in particular Green Goblin's new look. You not only get to see the traditional Raimi look, but a new look. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock has the original tentacles, and then he's absorbing the nanotech in the Iron Spider suit, and his arms are turning red and yellow. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, what is he gonna do with those? Like, oh man,
he probably didn't even know he was capable of that. He's like looking at the arms, like, interesting, and then he looks at Peter and he says, "You're not Peter. You're not my Peter."
Yeah.
How are you gonna tell me that they drop that line of dialogue and Toby and Andrew aren't in the movie?
Nah, they're in it. This is no way. If you know.
I just don't see, you know, if Doctor Strange is telling them, like, you know, we've pulled villains from other dimensions. I don't see, you know, Peter responding with Peter not responding to, well, if there's other villains here, what about the other Spider-Man? Yeah. Where are they? Can we get them? Can they help us? Maybe they can tell us something that we don't know. That train of thought has to come up eventually.
I hope so, you know. I mean, I feel like sometimes Tom's Peter can be kind of a knucklehead sometimes.
And, you know, Tom talked about in particular what makes his Peter different. And it's, you know, you call it being a knucklehead. I do agree with you, especially when it came to Far From Home. But I think the overall picture of his version of Peter Parker is that he is a lot more sensitive, man. He is a lot more kind. He's a lot more sweet because he has a heart for people. This is what was so emotional about Homecoming when Vulture was about to blow up and he wanted to save him. You know, that he was not only is a man, but he was Liz's father. You know, that's a close connection to him. And so I can only imagine what a kind of close connection he's going to have with these villains, you know. And they did the similar thing with Mysterio. You know, they got the bond that brings them close. And that's the thing about Spider-Man villains is they're always close to each other. You know, they have an intimate relationship, which makes it so personal, you know. In this movie, Doctor Strange considers Spider-Man responsible for the spell going wrong, and thus he's given Spider-Man a mission to scour the world looking for the villains who slipped through the cracks. Presumably, Doctor Strange is the one who gives Spider-Man his new costume, and the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer shows the wall crawler summoning a mystic effect around his glove. There have been consistent rumors that Spider-Man will use his suit's magic to transport villains into a mystical prison, and those are apparently confirmed. The mysterious box seen in previous trailers must be the prison.
Yeah, I feel like that's a reasonable argument. I definitely see that happen. I see that thing is built into the suit somehow. I'm sure Doctor Strange hooked him up.
The box wasn't in the other trailer.
No,
we have same clips, but they added the box.
Yeah, which is cool. I appreciate that. And yeah, I've read a couple leaks. Nothing too crazy, but some of the leaks do
talk to me.
Involve the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Which
I'm sorry, very reminiscent of the first X-Men back in 2000, 2001. Sorry, I was getting X-Men vibes watching it. Please continue.
I was just saying, Statue of Liberty was in there. The villains being trapped in that little contraption was also in there, and also the mention of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in the third act, a significant chunk of the movie.
Yeah, not just action.
No, not just at the end. How I felt like it was teased at the end. We'll talk about the ending little.
We're getting there.
Scene. But yeah, it goes aligned to a lot of things that are being rumored in. So I'm very excited to see how that all plays out, what we do get, what we don't end up getting, what gets cut.
It would be a different story if what we're seeing didn't align with these potential leaks that we're referencing to.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna try to avoid the ones with the more descriptions, more info about it in there. So I definitely want to go in as blind as I can with the stuff that's already out there. I'm not gonna be watching TV spots or anything like that because how Sony likes to do 20 TV spots for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited, man. This trailer, man, and you should really talk about the audience, man. The audience in this theater is crazy. Everyone, even before the event started, people were shouting quotes, trivia, all that stuff, man. It was just such a good
giving away comic books. Literally, someone throwing comic books up and down and everywhere. And I was, saying, "Be careful, you're gonna cut someone's throat." But it was so tight, dude, to see everyone. Leave with something.
It was a community. It felt like we were
all
all
funny. Everyone that I asked, where are you from? And they're all like, "Oh, we're 3 minutes away. We're 4 minutes. We're 5 minutes away. We're 6 minutes away." Literally, everyone was within 7 minutes from the theater. And again, I didn't meet anybody, but we were the only ones that were talking about we traveled out here for this. And then the people that the people that we were around were just so shocked that they looked at us like, "Oh my God, you're the real deals."
Yeah, it was crazy. It was very, very cool to meet those people, interact with them, and hopefully we do more.
Yeah,
more stuff
if any of those individuals are listening right now, if you met us during the event, please reach out to us, connect with us. It was so kind meeting you. We talked to a lot of people also leaving the theater, going into the parking garage, and it wasn't stopping. It was just going and going.
No, it felt like a whole event. It felt. I wish I could relive it, if I'm being honest. And I know it's just a trailer, but just the whole experience in general, being in line.
I know we were curious that was this trip worth going to see a trailer, and the answer was yes.
Yeah, it was.
It was just so much more than a trailer.
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't regret any of it. Oh man, I feel like most people would be like, yeah, I wish I was there. Seeing Tom,
oh yeah,
I'm starting to think Tom was the icing on the cake for me, but that experience in general sold me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many close friends and family members who know me and how I've grown up with these movies, and how the first Spider-Man terrified me as a child, because you guys need to remember Sam Raimi came from a horror background, and so he brought those elements to the movies, and being a 4-year-old child, it terrified me. And so again, going from the kid that was hiding behind the couch afraid of the Green Goblin to the one that's part of the crowd chanting and screaming, it was surreal. J. Jonah Jameson returns in No Way Home, played by the famous J.K. Simmons, and yes, he looks a lot like Commissioner Gordon from Justice League. Everyone's trolling him online about this, but if I'm being honest, it doesn't bother me. I kind of want to just breeze, past that. Yeah. But for me, it was incredible to see the Daily Bugle come back, because there was these vans parked outside. You don't know, did they pull up? Are they getting the scoop on something, or is this the Daily Bugle headquarters? Where are we? And wherever they are, they're doing investigative journalism. It felt like they were like following the crime scene. Felt like Nightcrawler, like he's out there looking for Spider-Man. I want to catch a picture of Spider-Man. Like whatever this guy is up to. I think you can even see a guy behind him with a camera recording JK. It looks like he's got a cameraman with him.
Yeah, I hope we get some good bits with him.
He'll be the comedy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the Far From Home scene he had. Cameo, call it a scene, but actually have him in the storyline and have him physically, interacting with whether we get it with Peter or just the world in general. With the events happening. With I think Electro was like doing his thing around him. It's gonna be.
Everyone wants to know who the sixth villain is, because we clearly have 5 villains. Yeah, there has to be a 6th, and I do believe that is another part of the reveal. Mysterio could come back. It could be Venom. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange's relationship breaks down in this movie. It had always been clear that the relationship between the two would break down in Spider-Man No Way Home, and it seems the ethical debate over allowing the villains to die is the catalyst of it. Doctor Strange is willing to allow these villains to return to their fate in other universes, but Spider-Man cannot accept that. Again, this is perfectly in line with the characters in the comics themselves, where Spider-Man has even gone so far as to swear an oath that nobody dies while he's around. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We never had to deal with a moral complex like this in any of the other Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I think so.
It was always survival mode.
Mm-hmm. And I think Tom doesn't obviously he has no context regarding their deaths, because obviously most of their deaths have been either accidental or sacrifices. Like Doc Ock sacrificed himself. Goblin was killed by his own glider. So hopefully we do get that context from the other Spider-Man to kind of comfort Tom. No, we didn't really have a choice. It wasn't our fault, or that kind of talk.
Yeah,
I do feel like. And I do feel like by the end of this movie, Tom is gonna have those characteristics of the other Spider-Man,
Yes.
And whatever he does in the future, man.
The best parts of each.
I do think it's gonna be like the ultimate Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm. And I feel with this being the 3rd movie, I do now see that like this has been a great arc for Peter Parker. Besides the Spider-Man movies, but even his arc in Infinity War and Endgame and Civil War, his character has really is going a long ways. He still has a lot to learn and to grow, but he's on the track to being the pinnacle of Spider-Man. I'm not even saying Tom Holland is the pinnacle of Spider-Man. I'm talking about the character being what we know as Spider-Man. Spider-Man's villains are destabilizing the universe. The trailer confirms the scale of the problem, though, with Doctor Strange suggesting the presence of beings from other universes is destabilizing the multiverse itself. There's been no prior hint of this in the MCU's multiverse. Variants have been hopping around the timeline since Avengers Endgame, and the main MCU timeline already has an alternate dimension version of Gamora living in it, but it's likely a critical mass is being reached. If this is the case, every time another Spider-Man villain jumps into the MCU, the universe becomes a little more unstable. So with more and more, the longer these people stay, the more the timeline is going to break apart. And we know this based off of Loki. If you haven't been watching the Loki series on Disney Plus, this talks about all of that, the timeline, how it breaks, what happens when it breaks. And so it's not really clear how the events of Loki, Kang the Conqueror, and all that is going to play into this. Also, what if the Watcher, all that stuff. There's elements and themes that Loki and What If are kind of blended into No Way Home. So it would be really interesting to see, especially at the end of the trailer when Doctor Strange was looking up in the sky and it was purple, and a lot of people are saying that it looks just like the fabric of time when the Watcher is looking through like the prism. Oh my goodness, I need to talk about this.
What's that?
The MCU's Electro is a vast improvement. My goodness. And we were just talking about how, everybody starts off with their original designs, which I have a soft spot for everyone's designs. I didn't hate the blue Electro. I kind of did, but I didn't hate it. But my God, for this trailer to not only give us the blue Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man, I was just talking about how he disintegrated from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And it looks as if in this trailer he's doing the opposite. I don't know what the opposite of disintegrating is, but I'm gonna make up words here. But like he's coming like through the power lines. He's like merging and forging himself and becoming like again like it looks like he's like about to look at himself like, I'm alive, I'm here, and then because Tom is using the magic suit and that's all happening behind him. So I have that theory that's when he comes in. But the design of Electro, not only is he yellow, but if you look very closely at his head, it looks like the electricity bolt, the OG like mask he used to wear, but like it doesn't. It looks like a star. It looks like I look at this and I know that is Electro.
Yeah, so good.
We were jamming out to the theme on the way up, the Electro theme. A lot of people are sleeping on that.
Very good theme with the hits.
Hans Zimmer
killed that. Hopefully we get some sort of remix, or maybe they do their own thing. But they kind of hinted in the trailer that we're still gonna get that boom.
You heard the beat, man.
Yeah.
I heard the beat, and not only did it sound like the Electro beat, but it even sounded like What Up Danger. What's Up Danger from Into the Spider-Verse. The don't can't stop me now. It had the tone, the music. There were very slight similarities if you know the other themes. The MCU has brought back the wonderful Jamie Foxx's Electro, and it's fixed the Amazing Spider-Man 2's poor design. The version of Electro seen in Spider-Man No Way Home is visually similar to the comic book character, right down to the electricity flaring around his face in a pattern evoked by the comic book mask. Fortunately, it looks as though Spider-Man's new suit has been deliberately designed to help him take on Electro, another idea lifted straight from the comics. I didn't realize that. Of course, that's his new suit's upgrade is to take on Electro. That makes so much sense. I didn't realize that before.
Yeah.
And I love the new suit that he has at the end of the gold spider from his shoulders going down to the chest.
So good.
talked about Green Goblin. Let's talk about Sandman and the Lizard, how they join in on the battle against Spider-Man. So, Ruben, do you want to talk a little bit about this Brazil trailer with the Lizard? Okay. Now, listen, when you first told me about this, I didn't really see it. I didn't really care, and now I do care.
Okay, so and towards the end of the trailer, we get the big money shot. It's Thomas Spider-Man going at it to Electro, Lizard, and Sandman, and it looked great in the trailer. We saw in the trailer, everyone really saw in pretty much everywhere. But unfortunately, in the Brazilian version of the trailer, the scene is extended by a couple frames, because I don't even think it's even a second longer, but there's a few frames where the Lizard is getting punched in the face, and he can see that he gets hit by something, but he gets hit by nothing. And you can clearly see that something was removed CGI wise, and that cut wasn't supposed to be there. So we see the animation of Lizard getting kicked in the face, but
as opposed to the U.S. trailer that doesn't,
it just gets cut. It gets cut off.
Yeah.
We get the scene where Tom's is going down the Statue of Liberty. I don't know how this happened. Usually, I feel like they would just use the same trailer for everyone. And man, that is just a major goof on whoever did that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that gets through. How people, I don't know, because everyone caught that.
Yeah.
How did the people who did the cut of the trailer didn't catch on to that? So it's clearly signifying that the other Spider-Man were cut from that shot, and you can clearly tell from where the Lizard and Electro are looking at. They're looking at above Tom and under Tom. So clearly there's something there, and it's a wide shot too, so you can easily fit.
It's the end game shot.
It really is, and bravo to them to not to show us those shots, but removing them from the actual shot. So man, I'm excited to see that whole sequence with all of them.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is.
I lost my voice, man. My
so
throat
loud.
is
Watch it
killing
twice
me
in theater. So
and for some reason they weren't allowed. They told Tom that he wasn't allowed to do that, and I even said what's the point in bringing everyone out here and just play something once? Go all the way. And so after them playing it once, they did a Q&A, and then they played it a second time. The second time, everyone was trying to be more quiet. And the first time, everyone's just freaking out at what they're seeing, and they're not even paying attention to audio.
Yeah, man, that second one, we just really savored it and enjoyed it, because we knew, after that was the end of the event. But
yeah,
oh man, that was a great trailer, man. I'm glad the trailer was actually good. It had a lot of those moments where everyone was cheering. I'm sure people were crying.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think they couldn't have done it even with Tom and Andrew. I think they couldn't have done it any better. I think it was perfect the way it was. Save those reveals for the movie. Mm-hmm. For the crowd. The crowd we're gonna end up seeing it with, whether it's early screening or if we do it at Cine One. Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, we got fingers crossed that we'll be seeing an early screening for this.
Yeah, if they do an early screening. I've been reading some stuff. Some people who actually get invited to press screenings, in different states in the country. They didn't do these early screeners for Venom and Ghostbusters for whatever reason. So it's interesting to see if they're going to end up doing one for Spider-Man No Way Home, given leaks and stuff like that of reporters leaking post-credit scenes.
Right.
So who knows if they just end up doing the world premiere and stuff around the world. But I'm hoping they give us something to local areas. They do the early screening. Because those events are usually the most some of the best crowds to be a part of. If I'm being honest, we get the cosplayers, we get the the diehards who wait there all day to watch this movie, and so, oh man, we're less than a month away.
Yeah.
If we, Thursday night, we're gonna be ready with our popcorn, our drinks, and
we've always for years now, me and Ruben, for those that don't know, we went to high school together, and we actually met. I was a senior and he was a junior, right? I was a senior, yeah. Which sucked because that was my last year, meeting this guy and being with this guy, and I fell over heels for this dude. This dude was the genius, the GOAT at everything he touched. And so we really bonded over Spider-Man, and we did reaction videos to when Civil War came out, dude. And I remember, I had went to that school only my junior and senior year. My junior year, I had no friends. I had no real friends. I had people but they weren't my friends. They weren't my friends. And my senior year again is when I met you, and we just you got me, bro. You understood the excitement, the enthusiasm that I shared for this character, and going from seeing the Civil War, Tom just jumping down in a Captain America movie. That was hype in itself, and so the stakes and the levels and the bars for these MCU movies are really going up, are getting bigger. They're at least putting in those efforts. They know what these characters mean. They know the longevity that they have.
Yeah.
So many theories as to what's going to happen to these characters. Is Mary Jane going to die? Is Ned going to become some form of the Hobgoblin? If I really could say, I don't think we're gonna. I think this movie is dealing with way too much that it doesn't. It's going to tiptoe maybe around Gwen Stacy death. I mean a Mary Jane death, maybe a Ned death. But I don't see them killing them off. I do see us watching the villains die, and there was a frame in the trailer of Aunt May running. And that was it. We really don't know what Aunt May is up to in this movie.
I was going frame by frame on the trailer, and I really haven't seen much reporters or tweets about this. When Aunt May is running through that hallway, I noticed she had something in her hand, and
really.
And one thing that caught my eye, it looked like a little pen, like a needle or something like that, and it reminded me of like the lizard antidote. I don't know if that's something that's gonna play, or if it's some kind of antidote. It kind of feels like she's like in a lab. I don't know if that's the vibe you got to that building. They were in where Tom tries to grab the goblin bomb, the pumpkin bomb.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I assume that she has something to do with it because she's around the villain. So maybe she's trying to get something for Peter, something to stop.
That is such an awesome theory, Ruben. Thank you for sharing that. That gets me excited, and I want to piggyback off of that theory. I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna say that she is running with a needle to save Peter, her Peter. I'm not gonna say the other Spider-Man, but her Peter, and that what you're describing, I kind of was picturing from the Spider-Man PlayStation game where Aunt May dies and Peter's over her bed crying and everything. It's a real emotional scene for a video game. And I think we may get some level of emotion out of that between. I feel like we have to get something between Aunt May and Peter because we haven't. And throughout these whole movies, we don't know her. We don't know what her deal is. Yeah. So she really has to kind of prove herself a little bit, I feel like, in this movie. Just as much as the other characters. I don't want her to be a side piece to be, for Happy to just be, tapping. So I think she's running with a antidote type serum to go and save Peter because something happened to him and she's going to inject him. And it looks like the crowd is probably going to think, oh my God, he's going to die. This is the end. And maybe like Toby and Andrew are standing over him, you know, and they're like, oh my God, this kid is going to die in front of us. No, you know, and these are the adults, you know, there's nothing that they can do. And then Aunt May, not them, because they don't realize, but Aunt May comes and saves the day. So that just, I think that makes it even more connected, more together, you know.
I can see that, yeah. Something like that, yeah.
You know, Aunt May has never really done anything in any of the movies. Always, again, been a damsel in distress in the Raimi movies. I loved Sally Field's interpretation, but she was always, her scenes were always at the house. You know, she was never outside in New York or doing anything with Peter, going to the bank, you know, getting loans, stuff like that. We want to see her do adult things. You know, we want to see her struggle. And in Homecoming, we didn't really see them struggle. You know, when they go to a Chinese restaurant for dinner and, you know, he loses his backpack and she gets him another one. She's all bubbly and silly and all this stuff. And like, that's just not my Aunt May. If I had a favorite one, again, Sally Field, definitely my favorite. Rosemary looks exactly as she does in the comics, but she's really old. I think, is she still alive?
Yeah, she's like in her 90s, yeah.
Thank God. Thank God, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough day.
Man, what a whole experience, man. This whole thing put us through so much emotions.
We didn't get back home till about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody who sent us messages asking if we got home safe and how was the trip. We really appreciate the support from you, our fans, because if it again wasn't for you, the ones that support us in these dreams that we have, we wouldn't be able to put forth all of this energy. We really put ourselves out there on the lines, you know, to report on this stuff for you guys, because if we are just as excited about this stuff, and we hope that there's others out there who are just as excited. And so this is for you, the diehard fans of anything, you know, besides Spider-Man. You know, we talk about everything on here. We talk about, you know, horror TV shows, everything.
Yeah, man, cover it all. Love it.
Yeah. We have a few episodes coming up in the podcast that we're really excited to get into. The next episode, we're going to talk about The Shrink Next Door. Keep an eye out for that. If you don't know anything about that story, I definitely recommend go and do a little bit of reading, maybe go watch the episodes, and then that way when you come back for the next episode, you'll be all caught up and we can really dive into it.
Yeah, there's 3 out right now. So
there's 3 out right now. We got a new one coming at the end of this week, and we're gonna watch that one and then report on it. And we have a new episode of Chucky that we will be watching and talking about later on as well. The season is just getting better and better. The last week's episode was phenomenal. And again, we'll talk more about that next time on the Camgoat Show. Ruben, is there anything else I'm missing, man? Is there anything we haven't really touched upon yet before we close out this show?
Watching Ghostbusters this week.
We're watching Ghostbusters this week, of course. Yeah. Totally forgot about that. And again, that's another Paul Rudd IP. He's also in The Shrink Next Door.
Yes.
And he's doing Ghostbusters Afterlife, and we are hearing amazing things about Afterlife.
I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be, you know, decent, you know, Ghostbusters, you know, reboot, remake, or, you know, introduction.
I feel like this was kind of a spoiler because we didn't know the original cast was coming back at all in Afterlife. And there's an interview that just happened on Jimmy Fallon where Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and I forget the other actor's name. They were there. The older actors from the original Ghostbusters, and they were talking about this new movie about Afterlife and how great it was and how it was coming on set. They started talking about Sigourney Weaver, and I'm just scratching my head like, oh, I thought that would be like a surprise because this whole time, no clips. They're not in the trailers. There's nothing like that. So it could have been this nice surprise, but they were really kind of giving a lot away in those interviews. Interesting.
Yeah. I kind of do see it for people who are like hesitant to watch this movie because it doesn't have the original cast. I see that, but they weren't really in like a trailer or anything in the marketing material, so it's kind of an interesting move to go that route. But yeah, I'm excited to see them how they collide with this storyline that they're doing, this retelling, I guess, of a different side, you know. So I'm excited how to do it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to today's episode.
Yes,
it's been such an honor to represent Phoenix. You know, we went out there. We knew the mission. We knew the mission, guys. This was so much more than just going to watch a trailer, than going to see Tom Holland. You know, it was so much more than that. It was community. It was connecting with another side of the community that we know about, that's on the internet, that we don't really get to go face to face with. You know, there's a lot of people even out here in Phoenix on Facebook that know of me as Isaac Joel, but they never sat down with me. They never had a conversation with me. They never picked my brain and actually got to know where it is that I've come from and how it is that I got to where it is that I am today, for better or for worse, you know, and try to understand. And that's the point of this show, is that we're here to understand. We're here to be an open ear. We're here to be your friends, the ones that you guys are listening to talk about all this stuff at the water cooler during your day. So thank you again to our audience. I have been your host, Isaac Joel. Ruben
Rapalda.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Later.